Hello. Thank you all for this. Jim, like, I can't stop thanking you. You are great, guys. I'm gonna watch this, but Jim, I can't stop thanking you, man. God bless me with happy, and I hope you are happy. I make these videos because this is for fun, not for money. And I never get money. I could clarify because none of these can get money, but wow. In 3 days? I'm one decent on YouTube, but we're gonna watch this.
So I was watching a YouTube poop, and in it, the said pooper included a song by the urban artist MF Doom. I'm not sure of the pooper's identity, but I'm assuming they must come from a world entirely different to mine. Because the only rap I know are trite doo-doo insults to Freddie Mercury, such as hit the Quan. But then I heard this MF Doom guy. He has made me change my mind.
Dude, I was the first. Not you, Mike. Not you, Mom. What the heck? What? Genuinely. And I could watch this.
In the world of animated television, no other show remains more iconic than the 33-season-long adult cartoon The Simpsons. With the family of Homer, Marge, Bart, and Lisa Simpson, we're shown countless stories and comedic adventures between the interactions of these characters in their town of Springfield. However, what if I told you that someone was missing from that family? A Simpson so controversial that the networks have done everything in their power to make you forget.
Raggle Simpson? Oh my god? Oh my god, Mike? Oh my god? I don't know what to say now.
About their existence. Well, get ready, because I'm going to tell you the story of what happened to Graggle Simpson, and how this character became synonymous with one of the show's darkest predictions. And if you wait till the end, I'll even get to show you one of the original Graggle VHS tapes.
I love this. Made the music.
The Simpsons has been a popular show for years now. While it's always been an adult cartoon, its use of family themes and moral values have turned the show into a household name. However, one part of The Simpsons became especially popular on the internet, and that would be their uncanny ability to predict real-world events. For example, there was an interaction between Homer and Lenny being a reoccurring friend of Homer's, where Lenny says, "Hey Homer, did you know cryptocurrency is going to crash in 2022? The concerning part is that this line of dialogue occurred in 1982, way before crypto even existed. The Simpsons had many episodes where they predicted future events, but the one that was the most shocking happened to involve a character that many of you aren't familiar with, and for good reason. This is Graggle Simpson. You may have seen Graggle on the internet recently and wondered who he was. Well, Graggle Simpson was like the Brian Epstein of the family, the honorary fifth Simpson. His character would go on adventures with Homer and the others, appearing periodically in the background to add a few witty one-liners or give the family advice. However, many people don't remember Graggle because something happened in the United States that caused the networks to pull the plug on his character. In his final episode, there would be a conversation between Homer and Graggle that would go as the following. "What are you going to do today, Graggle?" "I'm going to kill the president." Following this episode's premiere would be the death of John F. Kennedy. This episode of The Simpsons came out November 21st, 1963, and because tension was so high in the country, the joke was immediately pulled off the air a week later. Media outlets everywhere began printing "Simpsons Does It Again," with Graggle being on the front page. So following this, the networks did everything they could to force America to forget about Graggle. Merchandise pulled his images, episodes of him were banned from TV. The show had made another correct prediction, but at what cost? The funny and charming Graggle Simpson was now erased from history. After doing some digging, I actually stumbled onto one of the original VHS tapes with Graggle still on it. When I play it though, you may notice something interesting. Do you see how Graggle looks brighter and different than the scene around him? That's because to remove Graggle, it would have been too expensive for the studios to tape a new VHS and destroy the original copies. So instead, they would take the master copy, the VHS to be duplicated for a release, and burn out Graggle from the magnetic tape, almost like bleaching him from the footage. The tape I found off of eBay happened to be one of the only master copies left over, which the process of removing Graggle had started on, but not finished. However, even if this tape and others had survived unharmed, the damage was already done. After the events of the 1963 episode, the now popular Grandpa Simpson was created by replacing the end of Graggle's name. The networks appreciated the replacement, and so The Simpsons began to continue trying to hide Graggle from the audience. That wasn't until early 2022, when images of Graggle began to resurface again. This story also explains why it's impossible to find Graggle in any modern format. Because the show was still in its infancy, the characters hadn't quite reached the more popular modern style we recognize today. However, after these events, the show still continued their trend of Simpson predictions, which remain popular on the internet today. In fact, if you look hard enough, you can probably find any real-world event that could be traced back to The Simpsons. That's how crazy the show is at predictions. Graggle Simpson, like us, shouldn't be characterized based on a single mistake. People change, and I wish we had given Graggle a chance to. But now you know the story of Graggle Simpson.
Bring back Graggle, man. Bring back Graggle. Can we bring back Graggle?
Hey, you want to talk about lost characters? So the internet has been going crazy with the concept of lost characters recently. These are characters that have been implied to always have been in that particular TV show, video game, or even movie. So some of these are real, and some of these are not, and we'll have to go through a bunch of them to figure out which is which. And we'll explain each one and what type of character they are. Because why not? I have the free time now, so whatever. Scrupulous Fingor. This guy just freaks me out. He's just really weird looking, and I don't like how he's pointing at Mario. Like what did Mario do to him? He's said to have been an unused ghost enemy in the game New Super Mario Bros. It is alleged that Miyamoto was asked about this enemy in an interview, and then Miyamoto was just like, I am not answering anything about this guy. The hoax then went on to say that he became like unusually upset. That's just imagining Miyamoto mad over an unused ghost in the game. To be fair, if this thing was real and was chasing after me in this game, I'd be pretty scared as well. Joking around, people seem to love this guy, and a lot of random fan art has been made about him, including a fake image of like him being in Super Mario 64 DS, saying, "You cannot ignore me forever, Mario." You know what, like seeing his render in New Super Mario Bros. DS is a little like freaky, but like seeing it in other games, he actually looks kind of cute. I kind of wish he was real now. The Mock Turtle from Alice in Wonderland. So this character is real, not in the movie Alice in Wonderland, but in actual, like, the books, the Alice in Wonderland Adventures. He actually does appear in animated form in, like, old vintage commercials, advertising Jell-O, and also in a live-action remake of Alice in Wonderland that kind of sucks. It's not the Tim Burton one, that one sucks too, but, you know. And to go even further, he does appear in a 1933 version of Alice in Wonderland, and it's kind of creepy, it's kind of weird. He's crying and singing in this camera-ripped version of the movie that I found on YouTube that makes it even more creepy. When it comes to the world-famous 1951 version of Alice in Wonderland, he was supposed to appear, but he was pushed aside due to pacing reasons of the movie. It's actually kind of sad. Here's to the Mock Turtle, a character always seen as crying. Hey guys, before we continue, be sure to subscribe. If you do it, it would be really epic and I would really appreciate it. Okay, next up. Fedora Kong. Fedora Kong is said to be the most powerful Nintendo character in the entire Nintendo universe. So he actually appeared in an issue of Nintendo Power magazine, released in February of 1995, but never actually in a video game. People have made up their own lore about Fedora Kong, arguing that he's actually Donkey Kong's dad, which is false because we know that Cranky Kong is canonically Donkey Kong's dad. Others believe this is actually an older version of Donkey Kong Jr., who was originally set to be in Donkey Kong Land for the Game Boy, but it never happened. I kind of find it funny how the wiki describes him as a more sophisticated version of Donkey Kong, which, I don't know about you, I think it's kind of an insult to Donkey Kong himself. Fedora Kong, although you never appeared in a game, you will always appear in our minds and in our hearts. Daniel Belcher. So before Bob's Burgers came out, there was a pilot episode to the show. Despite its different art style, the pilot is very true to what the show ended up becoming. It has the same type of humor and characters, well, mostly the same characters, except for one difference. Originally, Tina, the oldest daughter in the show, was supposed to be a son. The show writers originally thought that having two sons for Bob just wouldn't feel right. In the pilot episode to the show, Daniel Belcher talks about how much his balls itch, similar to how in the first episode of the show, Tina talks about her groin itching as well. It's right here where I have to really define what counts as a lost character. For me, a lost character is either they didn't exist at all, like if they were a hoax, or they did exist but they eventually got scrapped completely.
This is not real. It's just a dream. Please, wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Gumbly / Graggle Simpson. This is the lost character that has kicked off this entire thing. He is said to have always been there with the Simpsons since the beginning. And he's a pretty old made-up character. He's dated back since 2011, being used on the 2chan image board. So there's this copy pasta that reads as follows from 4chan. That basically explains the entire, Graggle thing. Matt Groening had the self-insert character. He kept trying to shoehorn him into the show. Believe it or not, that is how Matt Groening sees himself. He wanted him to be good friends with Bart and replace Milhouse. The writers in the studio were concerned about how this would alter the show, and the design was too creepy, because he looks naked. Matt Groening would always say that he just has long yellow hair. He wanted this character to be versatile and he could help any other characters with their problems. He pitched this one idea where he would help Lisa win a jazz contest. Apparently, Matt Groening really regrets not playing the drums in high school and wanted his self-insert to be really good at drums. So his character would play the drums in Lisa's jazz band and they would win. The writers would call this character Weird Matt. When Groening learned about this, he made them change its name to Yellow Matt. The thing is, I don't think he ever gave it a name, so they only ever had a placeholder. The thing is, if Matt really wanted to, he could have pushed this idea through, but after no one wanted it or liked it, he gave up and scrapped the whole idea. There's still some art and notes referring to this character floating around, but Matt Groening is very embarrassed about this character. If you ever see him, do not bring up Weird Matt or Yellow Matt. God, how I wish this was fake, because this is obviously real. I mean, come on guys, you don't remember Graggle? Everyone else does, check out these posts. I used to dislike Gumbly, but after the season finale, he became one of my 5 favorite characters. Not to spoil that incredibly emotional moment, but Gumbly is more of a father to Lisa than Homer ever were. Honestly wasn't a big fan of the edgy humor Gumbly had in the early episodes, like that really graphic scene where he broke Milhouse's leg. The scream that played during that moment was too real and haunting. Oh my god, holy shit. Knowing The Simpsons, they'll probably actually put him in an episode, and that's when the joke will finally die.
Let's go home.
We are home.
That was fast.
Yeah, that was pretty fast, Homer. Ooh, boy.
Alright, next up. Concrete from Steven Universe. There is a reason why the cutting room floor is the cutting room floor. Okay, so Steven Universe is, Steven Universe. Some people love it, some people hate it. Personally, I'm mixed about it. I mean, I think some of the gems are cool. I think the fusion stuff is pretty neat, although it's just from Dragon Ball. And I also like Mayor Dewey. He's kind of based. However, in a world with so many characters, it shouldn't be a surprise that some of them are cut out from ever making it to the actual show, thus becoming lost. In 2017, a Steven Universe art book released, and in it, there was a character named Concrete. And once it was discovered, there was a lot of backlash because people depicted it as, as a drawn stereotype of African Americans. To paraphrase a Steven Universe fandom post, she looks similar to an exaggerated Mammy character, who is completely coated in black. She has big white lips, and to those reacting to the controversy, looks incredibly similar to the way people would dress up in blackface. One of the describing factors written in the notes of the art is that this character could not read. Once again, this is an insensitive archetype of the Mammy character. Following the massive outcry, Rebecca Sugar issued an apology, stating that these pieces were created carelessly and it was wrong to include them. She also stated that she was deeply sorry for the hurt that she had caused. This is important to state. The person who drew this, Lamar Abrams, is African American himself. And the sketch was part of this big brainstorming game where someone would draw an imaginary gem and another person would write down the name and the characteristics of the gem. It was a big exercise. In the end, Rebecca Sugar approved this entire book and all the drawings that coincided with the book, so she chose to take the fall for it, issuing an apology. I don't think the Crewniverse is racist, they're not. I just think a little more attention should have probably been paid to it, and I completely understand why people got upset over it. I mean, if you've watched Steven Universe, you could understand that the show is pretty inclusive, more so than a lot of other shows. Personally, I think it's kind of ridiculous to accuse the entire Crewniverse of being racist, especially knowing the entire story. I sincerely believe the Crewniverse was not being malicious when they released this book and this drawing. Although this character was never meant to be on the show, they are forever lost, and also has an asterisk of being one of the most controversial things surrounding the series. Chuck Cunningham is described as the true, original Lost character. Chuck appeared in Happy Days, a show that ran from 1974 to the 1980s. He played the oldest son of Howard Cunningham, who was a main character on the show. And he made some really rare appearances until the writers just made him stop showing up. They completely forgot about his character, but that didn't happen with the other kids, who would still continue and would appear in episodes every now and then. After season 2, people noticed his absence and coined the term Chuck Cunningham syndrome to describe early characters in TV who would be dropped early on in the show, with no in-universe explanation telling people where the hell they went. The funniest part about this is that Howard Cunningham, the dad of Chuck, supposedly has 3 kids at the beginning of the show. By the end of the show, he comments how proud he is of his 2 kids, indicating that Chuck never existed. There is no in-universe explanation. I guess he just was never there. He was just the imagination of every single character in Happy Days. What makes things even a little funnier is that in season 2, Chuck was replaced with another actor who looks completely different from the original Chuck. And then after that, the character was just completely canned. It's just another bizarre situation that some of these characters are actually real. They're not hoaxes. They're not part of a Mandela effect. They existed, but they are as the same category as a hoax because most people completely forget that they were real. Characters such as Fedora Khan, Chuck Cunningham are in the same category as Fingor and Graggle. If you want me to talk about more of these characters, I guess get this video to 3,000 likes. Alright, subscribe, bye!
By the way, I'm going to release a video, so would you like to see it? This is the new video. I'm going to name it Shorts. Wait, hold up. I'm going to put the song of the day.
Gonna kick it off with some music you've been listening to. Kendrick Lamar first.
Okay, that's the video.